Hack Nation, an article brought to my attention about Stephanie White calling out some of the toxicity going on in the WNBA, mainly the last couple years, thanks to one Caitlin Clark and her fan base, her toxic fan base. Oh my gosh, the dark side is coming. Yeah, the dark side, yeah, we're here. We're here. Let's take a look real quick at this article. Please like the video, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend. Let's get into it. Stephanie White calls out toxicity while breaking down WNBA changes needed. Oh, there's a lot of changes needed. Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White shared a strong message.
The words left her mouth like a bombshell, tearing through the carefully constructed facade of WNBA unity and revealing a festering wound beneath. Stephanie White, a respected head coach, didn't just offer constructive criticism, she launched a direct, unflinching assault on the toxicity plaguing the league. A damning indictment that immediately sent ripples through the WNBA community. This wasn't merely a critique, it was a potent challenge to an insidious culture, a powerful statement that puts her own position and future under intense scrutiny. The gravity of her pronouncement against the fan-driven vitriol painted a stark picture of a sport struggling with its own dark side, hinting at the immense pressures faced by those daring to speak truth to power.
Calls out toxicity while breaking down WNBA changes needed. Oh, there's a lot of changes needed. Indiana Fever coach Stephanie White shared a strong message about negativity surrounding the WNBA. There it is. Shout out to Robin Lundberg. The WNBA experiencing a massive growth period over the past couple of years is an undoubtedly good thing. In fact, there's a case to be made that it could not have come at a better time for the league, given that the players in the association is currently in negotiations with the WNBA league office for the next collective bargaining agreement. Again, we're not going to mention the clear conflict of interest because what fun is that, right? What fun is that? If women's basketball had an experience.
The catalyst for this explosive revelation stemmed from White's recent appearance on Sue Bird's Bird's Eye View podcast, where she candidly addressed the rampant negativity. An article, highlighted by podcasts like Bendino, brought her comments to a wider audience, underscoring the urgency of her message. The WNBA, experiencing an unprecedented surge in popularity, is simultaneously grappling with a corrosive undercurrent, creating a paradox where growth inadvertently fosters an environment ripe for conflict and personal attacks. Her outspokenness arrived at a critical juncture for the league, sparking a crucial conversation about the true cost of newfound fame.
This boom in popularity, which is largely owed to star players like Caitlin Clark injuries and Paige Beckers entering the WNBA and thriving, it's hard to imagine that WNBA players would get the vastly increased salaries they're going to receive as part of a ratified CBA. I like this guy. Whoa, Grant Young, you're going to talk like that? Grant, hey, all right, Grant Young. But this new attention on women's basketball isn't wholly positive. With so many fans flocking to the sport, this has brought a lot of negativity among select players, especially on social media. Much of the discourse around teams, players, and rivalries, with most notable between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, breeds a lot of nastiness and tribalism on social media that players are.
At the heart of this escalating toxicity, according to the widespread discourse, lies the fervent and often aggressive fan base of star player Caitlin Clark, dubbed the Dark Side. This faction has allegedly fueled much of the recent nastiness, creating a hostile environment for players and coaches alike. While Clark's arrival has undeniably propelled the WNBA into the mainstream, it has also, unfortunately, ushered in an era of tribalism and vitriol previously unseen on such a scale. This stark contrast between unprecedented viewership and fan misconduct presents a profound challenge to the league's integrity and player well-being.
Media. Much of the discourse around teams, players, and rivalries, with most notable between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, breeds a lot of nastiness and tribalism on social media that players are thrown in the middle of. Stephanie White's stance on toxicity around WNBA speaks volumes. Indiana Fever head coach was the guest on a December 5th podcast, A Bird's Eye View, which is hosted by WNBA legend Sue Bird. I got some Sue Bird receipts we're going to get into. Folks, I'm not just going to come here empty-handed for you guys. I'm not going to come here empty-handed. I'm going to bring some Sue Bird receipts to let you know that this isn't just a past couple years issue. This is a WNBA issue.
White herself laid bare her core desire for change, stating unequivocally, "I'd like to change the toxicity around our league." She acknowledged the formidable challenge this presents, calling it not really a controllable factor. Her deep concern highlights the systemic nature of the problem, extending beyond simple on-court rivalries. For a coach to articulate such a fundamental issue so openly signifies a moment of crisis, suggesting the environment has deteriorated to a point where silence is no longer an option. Her words are a rallying cry for a more respectful and supportive community.
Folks, I'm not just to come here empty-handed for you guys. I'm not going to come here empty-handed. I'm going to bring some Sue Bird receipts to let you know that this isn't just a past couple years issue. This is a WNBA issue. This is a WNBA social club. We don't want you in our club, so we're going to bully you and use racism to get you out of our social club issue. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White was the guest, blah, 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 blah. White was asked what changes she'd like to see in the WNBA at one point and delivered a poignant message. Ooh. After speaking about how the WNBA has become mainstream in the past couple of years, White said, "Some things I'd like to change." Quote,
"The WNBA's recent massive growth period, while undeniably beneficial for the sport's visibility and financial prospects, has inadvertently amplified these negative elements. This boom, largely attributed to figures like Caitlin Clark, has coincided with crucial collective bargaining agreement negotiations, promising vastly increased salaries for players. Yet this positive financial trajectory is overshadowed by the growing pains of a fan culture spiraling into aggressive rivalries and personal attacks. The league faces a critical balancing act, harnessing its popularity while simultaneously reining in its destructive side."
White said, "Some things I'd like to change." Quote, "I'd like to change the toxicity around our league. I know that's not really a controllable factor. I love the fact that the women in our league are always at the forefront of social change and sports in general. But women in particular. I think we want to expand the footprint to look to make the season longer," White added. Oh, so we want to make the season. Wait, so you want to make the season longer, but the players. So you want to make the season longer. The league is offering an extended season, but this.
Intriguingly, the discussion also touched upon a clear conflict of interest surrounding the CBA negotiations, although the speaker quickly moved past it, suggesting a reluctance to fully expose internal tensions. This subtle acknowledgement hints at deeper, unspoken issues within the league's structure and operations. Such veiled references to internal conflicts, combined with player struggles over fair compensation and season length, further complicate the narrative of a league simply enjoying newfound success. It implies that the external toxicity mirrors internal disunity and unresolved systemic problems.
You don't just pick my line. I'm gonna have to charge you for that. God darn.
Can we just like call a spade a spade? Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year.
Oh!
This is not a new
for
thing.
sure.
This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. And
Damn. Caitlin hasn't brought racism to the WNBA. It has been here and it has been happening. Oh, so it's not just the last couple of years, Stephanie, huh? Oh, it's the WNBA.
Much of the negative discourse manifests as nastiness and tribalism on social media, with players often thrown in the middle of fan wars. The infamous rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese is a prime example, but the problem extends far beyond individual matchups. This digital battleground creates a relentless high-pressure environment for athletes, forcing them to navigate not only the rigors of professional sport, but also the constant barrage of online antagonism. The mental toll of such pervasive negativity is immeasurable, contributing to an untenable situation for many.
I wouldn't say it's hate, but a lot of people are tired of the WNBA forcing her to be the face of the league when she isn't considered a top 10 player to some fans. Some fans, like who? Like who? But we have one that I saw over here. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it. There it is. Here it is right here. Not a total fan, but I respect her game, bought her version of 2K. Oh man, there was a comment where somebody was complaining, like, oh my gosh, she doesn't even deserve to be on the cover of 2K. What has she done? But of course, it's just not going to show up for me. You hate to see it, folks. You really hate to.
WNBA legend Sue Bird, also speaking out, revealed that this current wave of toxicity is far from a new phenomenon. Bird asserted that racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year, dispelling the notion that recent events are isolated. She characterized the league's past as a social club mentality, where certain players were actively excluded or marginalized. This historical context from a veteran like Bird adds significant weight to White's contemporary concerns, painting a picture of deeply entrenched problematic cultural patterns. Bird's powerful statement, "Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year," directly challenges the simplified narrative often presented by mainstream media. She insisted that this isn't a recent development, nor is it solely attributable to the last couple years. Her comments expose a deeper, more enduring issue within the league's fabric, hinting at historical biases and exclusionary practices that predate the current era of heightened fan engagement. It's a sobering reminder that underlying tensions have long simmered beneath the surface. Sue Bird explicitly stated that Caitlin Clark didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening. This crucial distinction shifts the blame from individual players to a more systemic problem that has plagued the league for years, even decades. It suggests that while new stars may intensify existing dynamics, they are not the sole originators of deep-seated issues. This historical perspective reinforces the complexity of the WNBA's challenges, making White's current fight against toxicity a battle against long-standing cultural norms. Bird elaborated on the nature of this historical racism, suggesting it often targets white players direct, especially the ones not named the pagebackers who want to get invited to the cookout so desperately. She described a sentiment of, "Oh, we don't really like you," directed at players perceived as undeserving or unfairly promoted. This exposes a tribalistic mentality where success for some is viewed with suspicion and resentment by parts of the existing fan base, creating a hostile environment for specific athletes based on their identity and perceived privilege. This insidious pattern of targeting white players for perceived favoritism is not exclusive to Caitlin Clark. The transcript reveals that Sabrina Ionescu, for instance, was bullied off Twitter long before Clark's meteoric rise. Online forums were filled with threads like, "Why is there so much Sabrina hate?" These historical examples demonstrate a consistent racialized undercurrent of hostility directed at certain successful white players, highlighting a deeply problematic and enduring facet of WNBA fan culture that predates the current media frenzy. The Sabrina hate was multifaceted, with fans complaining she was overmarketed and shoved down her throat since she got drafted. Despite her talent, many questioned her status as the face of the league, arguing she wasn't even a top 10 player in their eyes. This narrative of undeserved promotion fueled resentment, manifesting as personal insults and relentless criticism. It reveals a fan base quick to dismantle and criticize players they perceive as receiving undue attention, regardless of their actual on-court achievements. Further illustrating this perceived double standard, Sabrina Ionescu received a signature shoe and the cover of NBA 2K before way more deserving players, despite not leading a winning team until recently. This perceived preferential treatment, even if justified by marketability, sparked outrage among certain fan factions, who felt established stars were being overlooked. Such grievances highlight a deep-seated frustration with league marketing strategies and perceived biases, contributing to the very toxicity Stephanie White bravely confronts. The narrative that Caitlin Clark showed up and now it's suddenly toxic is debunked by this historical context. Instead, the old guard fans have been the ones weaponizing racism and a certain demographic of players in the league. This isn't a new phenomenon, but an intensified continuation of a long-standing pattern. Stephanie White's comments, therefore, are not just about present-day issues, but a call to address entrenched biases and hostility that have damaged the league's reputation and its players for years. Beyond confronting toxicity, Stephanie White articulated a broader vision for the WNBA's future. She advocated for expanding the league's footprint, lengthening the season to allow players to make basketball their sole profession, and ensuring adequate rest and recovery time. Her desire for systemic improvements, including better player conditions and a more sustainable league model, showcases her profound commitment to the WNBA's long-term health and prosperity, making her direct challenge to its toxic elements all the more significant and courageous. This commitment to a thriving WNBA clashes sharply with the current reality of player compensation, where many earn salaries as low as $66,000. White passionately argued that these professional athletes deserve the opportunity for basketball to be their only job, with a true season length and an off-season for recovery. The disparity between player aspirations and current conditions, highlighted by inadequate salaries and punishing schedules, adds another layer of tension, making the fight for a respectful environment an uphill battle for coaches like White. For a head coach, a leader within the organization, to publicly declare the league's environment as toxic is an extraordinary act. It signifies a profound level of frustration and concern, indicating that the internal channels for addressing such issues may be insufficient. Her willingness to speak out, knowing the potential backlash and scrutiny, demonstrates the dire state of affairs. This courageous stance by Stephanie White signals a pivotal moment, forcing the WNBA to confront its internal demons head-on or risk alienating its most dedicated figures. The fan insults, ranging from accusations of being shoved down her throat to questioning a player's worthiness for endorsements and league honors, are not isolated incidents but symptoms of this deeper social club mentality. This weaponization of fan engagement against specific players, often with racial undertones, creates an unbearable pressure cooker. It's this relentless, personal, and often racially charged criticism from the very audience meant to support the sport that Stephanie White is battling against, demanding a fundamental shift in fan behavior. Stephanie White's bold denunciation of WNBA toxicity, fueled by years of fan insults and a deeply ingrained problematic culture, marks a critical juncture for the league. Her willingness to risk personal and professional comfort to expose these harsh truths forces a reckoning. The future of the WNBA, and indeed the future of individuals brave enough to challenge its status quo, hinges on whether these uncomfortable truths will be met with genuine change or dismissed, leaving the league to contend with the ongoing erosion of its core values.